Hi, and welcome to this new tutorial. And today I want to show you a way to create complex loops on your SP. Now, the whole idea came out of my mind by thinking about drum loops. In a drum loop, we have different pieces of the kit that have different function, right? For instance, in a techno situation, we have the kick, which is the classic four on the floor, which is on the downbeat, and the hat, usually the open hat, on the half beat. So we have this call and response between the kick and the hat, not to mention, of course, all the other elements that are building a drum loop and a drum kit. Now, the same concept can be used on a tonal loop, for instance, BASSLINE. I have here this set of samples that are from my sample pack called Free. You can check on my Gumroad page, and it's a collection of my 303. Basically, these are all in C, and they are different samples from different settings of the 303. Now, the concept here is to build a complex loop by using this sample here. Of course, we can play. Let me program a simple 4 on the floor 1 bar just to keep it simple, and recording, okay. Wrong sample, of course, I want the kick. Nice. We have this kick here, and of course we can record. This little line here, for instance, but it's fairly simple, and I want more complex thing. So the whole idea is to use every sample for a different function. For instance, this is the most prominent or accented sample with this one, but this is more on the bass and greasy. This is all on the resonance. So maybe we can start to program some line with that, and we have to use the sequencer. I don't know, let's say that we want this one on the upbeat. And now we can continue with the other sample. This is a very low bass note, so maybe we can place one at the beginning of the sequence that stays underneath the sequence. And we have another bass note here. Maybe we can place that one here or here. Yeah. We are starting to have some kind of rhythmic. Now let's continue with this little guy here. Let's place they are talking each other, and the main goal is to make these samples here talks one to each other. So we have this 4 sample playing now. We can add this one, this. Let's start with this one. now we are working in one bar only, but just to keep the thing simple for you and also faster, because this is a longer work in a 64 step sequence, for instance. Because now that we have our sequence, and remember, this is only one sequence, so 5 samples, but we are composing one bass line in this case. But the cool thing is that we have direct access to all these samples here, so to all the layers that are composing our loop. In this way, we can treat differently with different effects the various part of the bass line. Let's start with, I don't know, this one here, or maybe this one here, which is the most prominent on the frequency, on the high spectrum frequency sample. So, for instance, we can use a let's assign the right bass first, a tremolo. But the problem is that now we have the single sample. So the trick is to resample the loop, the sequence. So now let's resample the sequence of this little loop. Now we can delete that one and make exchange. So we have the 5 loops, sorry. So now we can simply delete all the pattern and record a new pattern, 1 bar only. Record. Let's place the first. And we have recreated our pattern, but all in loop. So now we can easily simply resample the various loops with the effect we want to use. For instance, this one. And we can also audition in real time, so you are hearing this sample here that is bouncing around. So let's resample it, and we want to resample 1 bar. Now we have. Let's listen, and above all, let's add our kick. And also the hat. Now we can continue to add some effects to various elements. Let's try with this. Maybe this one we can add a little bit of stereo. Not the flanger, sorry, the Juno chorus. And not that much. Just a touch. Yeah, let's resample. And also use the nice. Now we have this guy here, we have to exchange. We can delete that one. And let's continue maybe with this one. I want this to be a little bit more prominent, so we can use a compressor. I want a little bit more on the attack side, and let's also okay, let's resample it. Perfect. Exchange. Of course, you can go crazy with the effects. Now, I'm just show you a little bit of the workflow. Maybe this guy here, we have to treat with a little bit of, I don't know. Let's try with the flanger. Just to go a little bit more different. Resample. Now we have to add an equalizer just to get rid of this frequency here. Nice. So let's resample again. And now the last effects I want to use is the compressor, just to add a little bit of volume. Nice. Let's delete this one and exchange. Let's gain stage. Now the last one. Let's treat this one with first compressor. So it's a little bit more prominent. Exchange. Delete. And I don't know, let's try to use a delay or a Kodama. Nice. So let's exchange. And if we want to also treat this guy here, we can use, I don't know, the warm saturator. Let's try. Use the equalizer first. Yeah, just to get rid of this annoying frequency. Nice. Let's delete that one and exchange. Yeah. This way we have built a complex loop in this case in one bar only, but of course you can and have to extend the sequence if you want. And not only, we can also mute the different part of the sequence and maybe make some sequence. We can resample all this thing here, just copy the sample you want. I don't know, maybe this first here and this here and this here. And let's place on a pad. And we have different version of the same sequence, so we can use in a different spot of the track. Basically, I show you the fast way for this video. Of course, you can and have to go a lot deeper with the effects and with the single element of this bassline or any tonal line that you are working on. This is only an idea to trigger your creativity on the ESP using the sequencer and different sample. In this case, we have used only samples in C, but you can use, of course, any sample you want in any key, and you can build very, very intricate loops with this method and with this layering this kind of loops. And this is it for this little tutorial. And if you need samples and services, check my Gumroad page. You can find also the sample pack used for the tutorial of today. And thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.